Welcome back to day 4 of the mini course about overcoming pain and getting back to what you love. Today, we're going to be looking at the root cause of pain. Let's dive in. So, here's what we're going to cover. What's causing your pain? What are some key contributors? Okay, pretty straightforward today. All right, so pain. Where does it come from? So, our pain, is it random or does it come from a specific cause? Okay, a lot of times it has a very specific cause. I'm trying to spend lots of time, energy, money trying to find that root cause. Sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it's right under our nose and we just don't find it. Everything follows a very predictable pattern. So I put these two pictures in here. There's something called upper cross syndrome and lower cross syndrome. Upper cross syndrome is going to be kind of more when, we got that, some people call it tech neck or that posture where we're kind of bringing the head forward, our shoulders are rounded. And what happens is we're going to get stiff and tight up here in the back of our neck. And then we're going to get kind of stiff and tight in our pecs. We're going to get kind of long and weak in our neck muscles, and we're kind of getting long and weak in our upper back muscles. And then kind of that same pattern is going to be down low as well, going through our hips and our back, where our abs are going to be a little bit weaker, maybe distended. Our low back is going to be shifted back and tight, okay? Kind of like the picture right here. And then our front of our hip flexors are going to be a little bit stiff and tight. And then straight behind that, our glutes are going to be kind of long and weak. So they call it lower cross syndrome because the tightness and the weakness follow one pattern, and the tightness follows one pattern, and the weakness and the elongated areas follows another pattern. So what we want to try to do is really strengthen both sides, and by doing that, that's going to help decrease the stiffness, as we learned in the pain cycle. Get your muscles stronger, the stiffness goes away because now the muscles are operating, and then the weakness goes away because now you're stronger. So really, that's the answer to about everything. You might even have on this other picture here an imbalance where, kind of like I alluded to in some of those past movement screens, are we shifted to the left or right? Is one shoulder lower? Is the hip shifted over? Is one knee flexed? Is our foot flatter on one side than the other? As you can see, like a dropped arch on one side, it's going to cause your knee to twist. It's going to cause your hip to go down, which is going to cause your lumbar to go over, which causes your thoracic spine to go over, which causes your head to go over. Kind of that song you learned in elementary school, hip bone's connected to the knee bone and yada, yada. It's true. They call it a kinetic chain. You put a kink in the chain, it's going to affect everything above it and below it. The further away you get, it doesn't affect it as much, but there's still going to be kind of a ripple effect. Okay, kind of like you throw a rock in a pond and it makes these ripples. The things closest to where the rock went in is the most affected. So wherever that main issue is in your body, the areas around it are going to be the most affected. As you get further away from the root cause, it won't have as big a negative effect on other areas of your body, but it can still have an effect. That's kind of one of the easy ways to look at possible root causes. So here we're going to look at some poor mobility. This could be tight hips, tight ankles. Okay, so mobility, just range of motion. How far does something move? Some of our movement screens we've done on the first 3 days, we're already starting to touch on this. So some of this should sound a little familiar. Now we're just finally bringing it together. So typically, our lower thoracic spine is going to be stiff and tight. Our hips are stiff and tight, and our ankles are stiff and tight. It kind of goes every other joint in the body. And then typically, we're going to be a little bit weak in our core. And then we're going to be weak in our glutes. And then we're going to be weak in the quads at the knees. So usually the stiffness alternates with the weakness. Not always. Again, these are kind of broad brushes, but it's at least gives you a starting point. So a lot of times, like I already mentioned, weakness might be in your core, your glutes, very common spots to see just because we don't use them much in the way our society is, unless you're actively working out a lot. Poor posture. So think about it. Our society, we're sitting a lot. You wake up, you lay on your nice flat bed, you wake up in the morning, you come down, sit, eat breakfast. You get up, go sit in your car for, a 15, 20, 30-minute commute. You get up, walk in, you sit down at your desk. Some people have more manual jobs. Even that, sometimes they're not as manual as they used to be. You come home, you sit and eat dinner, you sit and watch TV. We're sitting a lot. Our biggest prime mover, our biggest muscle in our bodies are glutes. The more you sit on something, just like we learned in the pain cycle, it decreases your nerve conduction, decreases your blood flow, which makes your muscles then stiff, tight, weak. We got to use them. You don't use it, you lose it. Okay. All those little silly truisms tend to be true. So yeah, poor posture. So we're at the desk, we're all in these postures. So when we're in these positions, try to engage your muscles, try to hold yourself up. Would be, one of your first lines of defense. Not that we're all stiff and tight, but just engagement. Hold yourself up, be intentional. Overall, lack of movement is the big thing. Lack of movement, lack of activity. I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it, right? We all get busy. We all have our jobs. It's hard to find the time to do it all. That's where having a community like that I'm creating that you can help, join in, help encourage each other to get moving, get your steps in, get your workouts in. It's important to have that community around you to help encourage you and spur you on, especially when you don't want to, especially when you're tired, especially when you're hitting that wall, that plateau, you don't feel like you're really making that progress anymore. Real important to have those people come around and surround you. And that's what I'd love to help you with. There used to be a saying, people were saying sitting is the no smoking, because everyone was getting these desk jobs and people were getting more and more unhealthy. Obesity was going up. People were getting weaker, more and more of these chronic conditions showing up. And they were starting to link it to people just sitting at these cubicles all day. So they said, sitting was the new smoking. So what they do? They got everyone standing desks. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people started getting standing desks, thinking, hey, I'm standing now. That's going to be the cure. Didn't really change that much. People were still unhealthy. In fact, they probably went back to sitting, but it didn't change all that much. People's health or their habits. But what I would say, sitting is not necessarily bad for you. It's important to sit. Standing is not bad for you. It's good to stand. Nothing's bad for you, but it's being in one spot for too long. Combine the two. Sit for a while, do your work. Stand up for a while, do your work. Get out, go for a walk at lunch. Go for a walk in the morning, go for a walk in the evening. Just get moving. It doesn't have to be an hour of exercise. You can do a good 10, 15 minute, maybe even less, maybe 5 minutes. You can do a 5 minute little routine of just some squats, a quick little plank, and something for the arms. And you just covered the three big areas of your body, got the heart rate up, the muscles are engaged. That's really all you really need to do. It's a lot better than doing nothing. So just to recap, poor mobility, things are there stiff and tight. Weakness, muscles aren't engaged, not moving you well, which then will lead to poor posture because we're stiff, we're tight, muscles aren't engaging, right? Or our habits, our lifestyles bring us down. And then just lack of movement, lack of activity, not using our body. So we shouldn't be surprised when our body betrays us when we've been betraying it and not using it. So we'll go review the self-assessment again. Again, it's all kind of similar to what we've been doing, but now I have a better understanding of why we're doing the self-assessment and what we're looking at. So let me see what our next slide was. Perfect. So let's go do the self-assessment and then we'll conclude. All right. So now we'll go back into that self-assessment for the movement. Okay. So the big things I want you to pay attention to here is just observe your position and your movement. Okay. So here we go. So a lot of this will be very familiar at this point. Okay. Again, just kind of do that march in place. Just kind of get yourself reset and then stop in. How's everything feel? Toes straight ahead? Are we off? What's our positioning? Anything that's not symmetrical. Okay. So if you imagine a line coming straight down, a line coming straight down this way, and then, are we twisted at all? Just how do we feel compared to that? Okay. And just kind of make some mental notes. Obviously, you got that forward bend. How's that feeling? Right. So what this is telling you is how your hips are moving. How's your back moving? Okay. Again, we've been over that one a little bit. The rotation test. Again, another familiar one. But how does it feel now after doing this for 4 days? We're just doing a couple little twists. The ankle mobility test, right? We just did that one yesterday, where if you're at a wall, kind of come to the wall here on the side, and you would try to tap your knee to the wall, being about 4 inches away. You have enough motion there. If you don't, you just turn that into an exercise and just do a little bit of a lunge forward. You can also test it standing up. Okay, exact same thing. And you'll just go through, 2, 3 rounds of 10, pause, coming back out. Okay. So sometimes the test becomes the treatment. All right. So 2 new ones. Overhead squat. So this is going to be testing hips, knees, ankles, and core, and shoulders, actually full body. So an overhead squat, what you're going to do is stand, arms straight over your head, and then just kind of feet about shoulder width apart, and just squatting down. Again, this would be a good one to look in the mirror or record yourself from the front. Record yourself from the side. And just see what you see, okay? Things you should be able to do. Your ear should be hidden by your arm. If you see your ear because you can't get your arms up, you got some shoulder stuff. If you're doing this, your back, arching your back, yeah, stiff shoulder, poor core, okay? You got to be able to keep that core down, back straight, get past your ears. That's kind of step one. On the way down, we're looking for your thoracic area and your tibia to be parallel, okay? So they should be kind of both on a little bit of an angle up and in, okay? We don't want to be tipping like this. That'd be a fail. We're not doing this. That's a fail. But coming down like this, being able to get to parallel, maybe below, and back up. We're keeping the arms over your head. So that's the ideal. And then just look for any deviations. And that's going to give you an idea, where's your weak spots? Is it our core? Is it our shoulders? Is it our hips? Our knees? As you come down, as I was doing it, almost looks like shifted off just a little bit. So that indicate, a little bit of stiffness in one side of my hips, which is true. My right hip's a little tighter. So, working on that strength and mobility. And then stability, putting it all together. A lot of stuff we looked at, just motion, moving, stretching, motor control, balance. Not being able to touch anything, start maybe with a chair or a wall beside you. And then take your hand away. Can you stand on one leg and hold your balance? At first, just trying to stay as still as you can. That foot might be moving like crazy, knee, hip, back. You might be doing one of these numbers and you can barely do it. Good, that's fine. That's where you're at. Your muscles aren't working together well. Check that other side. How's it compare? Is the hip on this side feel stronger? Is your hip dropping out when you do it? Is your hip staying under? Is your foot engaged? Is your foot really flat? Your core way over here. Are your arms going crazy? All these little things are going to give you hints about where your issue is and what needs work. Hold it for 20 seconds. What starts hurting? What gets tired? Again, those are the areas that you're going to need to focus on. So all these little things add up to give you feedback about where the root cause of your problem could be coming from. Again, it could be weakness, could be lack of mobility or stiffness. It could just be lifestyle, our habits, and our positioning all day long, just not allowing our body to move optimally. So hope this was helpful. Let's look at our takeaways. I'm come back to share screen. Actually, I'm still on share screen. Perfect. So here's our action steps. So, we just walked through those. Stop the video, go back, and one that seemed a little bit more challenging, go back through that a little bit. Take a video of yourself. And then a lot of times, like I said, that test becomes the treatment. The overhead squat, there'd probably be some other progressions you'd want to do. A lot of those other ones, that becomes your treatment. Do 20 to 30 of them for the next couple of days. See how that helps. Or if it doesn't help, helps. I want you to comment that in the community. What was hard to do? What did you do to fix it? How do you feel now? If you are starting to find some of these things that are issues, this is kind of like a precursor to the group I'm putting together. As you're working through this and you're starting to see, hey, here's some issues, and you might see the value of, working with someone on this. I'm putting together a 6-week knee and hip pain challenge or knee and hip reset to get these areas stronger, more mobile, more stable, to get you confident in going back to your activities, walking, running, sitting, standing, playing with your kids, getting on the ground, going for a bike ride, running, whatever it is, playing basketball, fill in the blank, whatever you want to get back to doing. If there's something holding you back because of pain, weakness, stiffness, and you're starting to realize, ooh, there's something here, and you need a little bit more help, reach out. Love to know. Hop on a call with me. And, minimum, we'll talk about ways you can keep, working at home or at the gym that'll help you out. If I can help you out further, you can talk about that too. So got all kinds of options there. And we'll talk about that more later, but just want to put a little precursor there. So try an assessment, share your results. Let me know what you learned about your body. Okay. And just share it in the community. So, all right, guys, appreciate your time. Went a little bit long on a simple one there, but hope you're gaining something from this and look forward to seeing you on day number 5.